If you've been feeling sluggish, foggy, or like you're having crazy mood swings because your hormones are out of whack, then this video is for you. We'll be talking about how to go from feeling completely out of control to feeling so much more emotionally balanced and at peace, and having your body reflect this in your skin, your hair, your weight, and everything else. I'm Karina, and welcome to my channel where we discuss practical tools to elevate our wellness from a mind, body, soul perspective. Our hormones determine so much of how we feel, both physically and emotionally, yet so many of us experience an imbalance. In fact, the vast majority of us will experience some sort of imbalance in our hormones, whether that's low progesterone and or high testosterone in women, low testosterone in men, low estrogen in women, and not even talking about thyroid hormones. And with hormones, more than anything else, it's so important to come at this from both the physiological and the emotional perspective, which is why it's the perfect topic to discuss on this channel. One of the most common contributors to low progesterone in women and low testosterone in men is chronic stress, which is usually associated with high cortisol levels. So our modern lifestyle encourages this, where our mind is very active, but our body is slow and less responsive. We are always keeping our brain busy by working tirelessly on computers and answering endless emails, while our body is stuck in chairs or sedentary for 80% of our days. And so part of the answer to addressing and balancing our hormones is to practice lowering our stress levels through practices like meditation, breathing exercises, even practicing just staying present in our bodies. And I have a video that goes in depth about how to establish a meditation practice even when meditating feels hard. And I'll link that to the end of this video. And all of this is going to encourage our parasympathetic, our rest and digest nervous system to come back online. And the key to a healthy nervous system, and therefore healthy hormones, is to be able to adapt. And so we don't want to be just hanging out in that parasympathetic, chill nervous system response. We want to be able to build back our body's resilience so that it can effectively respond to short, not prolonged, periods of stress. And we can effectively shift back and forth between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, which is the more activated nervous system response. So when we're in that wired and tired state, every little thing feels super stressful because our resilience is depleted. And so there are 4 concrete steps that we can take to balancing our hormones. And number 1 is to strengthen our nervous system and build up our resilience. So we do that partly through a meditation practice. And as I mentioned, the video that I'll link to the end of this one shows you how to establish a meditation practice. But then we also want to be moving our body in different ways, challenging our strength and our mobility. And so as we do this, as we move our body differently, our brain starts to send different hormonal signals throughout our body, and we can adapt more effectively. And so an easy way to incorporate more and varied movement throughout your day is whenever you're sitting down to work, instead of sitting on a chair, sit on the ground, or maybe a cushion on the ground to ease into it, or on an unstable surface like an inflatable ball, because then you don't have any choice but to move in different ways throughout the day. And then another way to strengthen our nervous system is to tone our vagus nerve. Our vagus nerve helps us to shift back and forth between parasympathetic and sympathetic. So to tone our vagus nerve, we can practice chanting or singing. We can also practice breathing more slowly and intentionally, inhaling for 4 to 8 slow counts and exhaling for 4 to 8 slow counts, and doing this at various points throughout the day. And then number 2, on the emotional, energetic side, is how in touch are we with both the masculine and the feminine energies within ourselves. So regardless of how you gender identify, each one of us has both the masculine and the feminine side of ourselves. So we want to do a self-inquiry and see how in touch are we with both of these sides. And so feel free to journal about this, and even to brainstorm some activities that you can do to help yourself express the side that might be a little bit more blocked. So for example, if you're looking to cultivate more of the masculine energy, you can practice setting daily goals and then deepen into that feeling of accomplishment that comes when you fulfill those goals. That's a very masculine thing to do. And then if you're looking to express more of the feminine side of yourself, then you can practice saying yes to people who offer to do things for you. And then a mind body practice that you can do to help balance both the feminine and the masculine energies is called alternate nostril breathing. So it's where we inhale and exhale in isolation through each nostril independently. So I'll show you how to do this. You'll take your thumb and your ring finger and you'll hold it just away from you. You'll inhale for 4 slow counts through both nostrils. And then you'll close the right nostril first with the thumb and you'll exhale just through the left nostril for 4 counts. And then you're going to inhale just through that left nostril, keeping the right nostril closed for 4. And then you'll valve the left nostril so both nostrils are now closed and hold for 4. And then you'll exhale through the right nostril, just the right nostril, closing the left for 4 slow counts. And you can repeat the cycle of breath. Also, if you find that one nostril feels more blocked than the other as you do this practice, that may mean that there is an energy that needs to flow more freely. So the left side represents the feminine energy and the right side represents the masculine energy. So if the left nostril is more blocked, then you can just breathe and focus on that left nostril and opening that up so you can allow that feminine energy to flow more freely. And then we also want to ask ourselves, is there a part of us that has been denying or suppressing our sexuality in some way? Is there a part of us that's disowned certain aspects of what it means to be feminine or masculine based on our personal experience, maybe some situation that happened in the past? And then do we believe that it's morally wrong to express and experience our sexuality? Do we feel like we're going to be punished for it? And these are all questions that we might want to meditate on and journal on. I know for me in my own journey, when I was early in my spiritual path, I thought that I needed to deny sexual desire in order to ascend to higher levels of consciousness. And my hormones started to reflect this. My estrogen and progesterone levels declined significantly during this time. It was like my body was saying, well, we don't need these hormones, then why are we going to keep them around? And I remember that when I was reading and watching things about how to balance hormones, and they would say, boost your sex drive by balancing your hormones. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that. Maybe you identify with that, or maybe you feel the opposite. Maybe you're saying, I came to this video because I want to boost my sex drive, and that's why I want to balance my hormones. And it's fine either way, but just knowing that expressing and experiencing sexuality is part of what it means to be in this body. And so when I came to terms with this, when I started to recognize that expressing sexuality wasn't wrong, and as I also started to embrace and celebrate all of the aspects of what it means to be a woman, that's when my hormones started to reflect this new attitude. And then the third piece is the nutritional component. So for me, a few years ago, when my hormones were low across the board, this was one of the biggest game changers. So I had a very established meditation and yoga practice, which meant that my cortisol levels were low, but so were all of my other hormones, as I mentioned before. And so as I started to include healthy fat in my diet, my estrogen levels started to increase. I was a vegan at that time, and I wasn't getting enough healthy fats, so I needed to up my intake of those. And that's the biggest dietary change that you can make to boost your hormones, because healthy fats are the building blocks for our body to synthesize hormones. And they also act as a blood sugar balancer. And high blood sugar is one of those stressors of the body that can deplete the hormones that we want to be higher, and it can lead to an overproduction of the hormones that we don't want to get too high, like cortisol. And then I complemented increasing my healthy fats with some progressively more challenging workouts, because I had been in that parasympathetic nervous system state with all of my meditation, and I needed to be able to shift back and forth between parasympathetic and sympathetic. So as I was doing these more challenging workouts, I was not only balancing and building back the resilience of my nervous system, but also when you're doing a challenging workout, say a high intensity interval training, or any sort of workout that really challenges the body, you're going to increase growth hormone production by a lot. And that's going to also increase your sex hormone production. And then a discussion about balancing hormones would not be complete without talking about endocrine disruptors. So endocrine disruptors come from chemicals that are in so many things that we use in daily life, from beauty and cleaning supplies to food storage containers to cookware and even clothing. And so we want to reduce our exposure to these endocrine disruptors as much as possible. So we can do that by choosing cleaner options for our beauty and cleaning products. Environmental Working Group has a ton of cleaner options that you can look up. And then we also want to avoid storing hot food in plastic containers. Choose something like glass instead. And we want to avoid drinking out of thin plastic water bottles as well. And we want to stay away from traditional non-stick cookware as well. And then in terms of clothing, we want to try to opt for more natural fibers like cotton and wool rather than synthetic fibers. And I do want to say that I am not perfect with all of this. I still have some clothes that have synthetic fibers in them, especially my workout clothes. I still have some of my Lululemon outfits hanging around that I still wear. And I live in an apartment complex where in my apartment itself, I use cleaner products to clean my apartment. But then in the building, they will use chemical laden products. And sometimes I'll be exposed to those momentarily. And my hormones are still fairly balanced. So all of this to say that you don't have to be perfect with all of this. We don't have to panic and, throw out everything that you own. It's just a matter of gradually phasing out some of these things that have more of the chemicals and endocrine disruptors in them and opting for some cleaner options. So while balancing your hormones is not a quick fix, you may not even want it to be, because using the process that we discussed allows you to embrace both the physical and emotional parts of yourself that have been asking to come back into balance. And that allows you to form a really amazing relationship with your body. That's something that's priceless. And as you start to incorporate healthy fats into your diet, as you start to move and strengthen your body in new ways, as you begin to build resilience in your nervous system, as you limit your exposure to endocrine disruptors, and as you begin to embrace your sexuality and the masculine or feminine energies that you may have been avoiding, you'll start to find that your hormones come back into balance and your mood and your body will begin to thrive. If you found this video valuable, feel free to give it a like. That also allows it to get out to more people. And if you'd like to learn about more ways to thrive in mind and body, then feel free to subscribe to this channel. Lots of love and hope to see you soon.